Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by the R&R family of companies.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Penn State is in a West Coast state of mind the next few games. They travel to Southern California next week for a big showdown in the LA Coliseum with USC. And this week, they welcome the visitors from the left coast to Happy Valley. UCLA is in the house. It's going to be a little strange to see the Bruins on the opposing sideline, especially for our very own Coach Bradley.
Yeah, former UCLA assistant over here for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a little different when you go from College Avenue to Pacific Coast Highway and Route 10.
Some pretty good sunsets out there. But let's talk about UCLA coming here. That's one of the neat things about the Big Ten with their expansion. UCLA has not been here since 1967. Penn State lost the number 4 Bruins and Heisman Trophy winner Gary Beeman, but did not lose another game for almost 3 years. Started off a great run. But let's talk about tough runs for the Bruins. Look who they've played so far. The last 3 opponents are all currently ranked teams. Then you look at now they come to Penn State. They also have to go to Rutgers. And the time zone difference, this will be their 4th different time zone for 5 games. The offense, it looks like it's really kind of affected their offense. They're having trouble getting points and those kind of things, Tom, not what they're used to. And then let's talk a little bit about the players to watch. Their quarterback, Ethan Garbers, do not fall asleep on this guy. I know UCLA is struggling, but he's put up some good numbers and put up some big wins as a starter.
He sure has. And one of the things you want to watch, he's very accurate. If he gets off to a hot start, look out.
Yep, and let's talk about hot. You mentioned hot throws. Eric Bieniemy, the offense coordinator, loves to release backs into the flat and throw hot Penn State blitzes. Somebody's got to account for them because, again, LSU, let's take a look at these 2 plays in a row. LSU runs these. And they come with the blitz, and the ball's out. And, Tom, that's a problem out there in the open field.
It's a lot of problem when no one's covering them, for sure.
Absolutely. And the thing I think you got to realize is when you're playing a team like UCLA, you got to look and show your team what they're best at, their best moments. They hung with LSU for 3 quarters on the road in Death Valley, and that's not an easy place to do. Now, off of those things, when they start to release the backs, now they want to get, Tom, those linebackers off and start chasing the back. And what's that do now behind them?
Well, a couple of things it does behind him. It creates open lanes for the throwing lanes for the thing. And also, the one thing it does, too, this quarterback doesn't have the time. He gets some scramble lanes. Yeah,
absolutely. So now he gets a touchdown off that against LSU. And then now, the third mention, Tom just talked about the scramble situations. You get into a situation where now you've got to stay in your run lane. They have given up a lot of pressure, but this guy does a good job. If you don't get him down, he can step up and make plays. They've given up 12 sacks, but take a look at how he moves here and gets a play down the field on this one. He did this 2 or 3 times against LSU. And now when he steps up, Tom, I know as a secondary coach, that frustrates the heck out of me.
Oh, yeah, that really makes for a fun evening.
So let's talk about them defensively. Again, they played Indiana, Oregon, and LSU, all of whom are really, really good offensive teams. So these numbers are going to be a little skewed a little bit. But one of the things they do is they'll be real aggressive on the outside with your DBs. And when they're out aggressive on the outside playing zone, it gives you some windows inside here. And you got to find those windows in a hurry. And LSU's guy does a great job, and Drew Aller's going to do the same thing, Tom.
I think the one thing that's the difference is that offensive line for Penn State is playing very well right now. They're going to protect Drew. They give him time. Drew should have an exciting night.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's been the problem. Here again, trouble with pass rush for UCLA. Quarterback's back there. He's got a one-on-one. And again, they cover well, but without the pressure, the quarterbacks can make a really accurate throw, and it does not get much more accurate than this throw. I mean, there is nowhere to go with this ball. The guy does a great job, but without pass rush, without disrupting the throw, you can make that. And now you talk about in terms of getting some push to make the quarterback move. They've had a hard time doing that, but if they do that and you're a little late with the throw, they can make plays in the secondary.
That's the thing. If you can protect them, there's some things they'll find.
Absolutely. So you got to get after them. And again, Penn State's got to protect them so they don't get into situations like this. And then special teams now become a situation where UCLA is really good at punting. Their punter, Richter, has 13 punts, 7 down inside the 20, no touchbacks. So what that means for you, Todd, is if this guy was on your scramble team for a golf tournament, you'd have a lot of birdie putts, and he'd never put it in this trap or the water.
Love that backspin and the LA vibes. I can feel them from across the studio coming from Tom, just chilling over there for sure. Well, it's a big noon kickoff on Fox Sports against UCLA. I'm not sure it will be full throttle for the crowd, and I don't know if that's needed against the Bruins. No doubt they brought the whiteout energy Coach Franklin was asking for against the Fighting Illini.
Whether it was timeouts, whether it was false starts and penalties, whether it was bad snaps, we thought they had 7 plays that were significant in the game. We're so thankful and appreciative for the fans and the environment we get here. It's like nothing in all of sports, let alone college football.
We've seen the crowd wreak havoc with opponents before. Not sure I've ever seen it happen on a punt. They didn't get it snapped in time. Just an incredible advantage for Penn State. They'll need the crowd when the Buckeyes come to town November 2nd. While this year's team tries to stay unbeaten all year long, perhaps the best team in Penn State history was in the building. Kerry Collins, the QB, Kyle Brady, the tight end, and Kajana Carter, the star running back on the 94 undefeated Nittany Lions that won the Big Ten Championship and the Rose Bowl. They didn't get a shot to play Nebraska, but they featured a phenomenal roster that continued on to have a major impact in the NFL. Up next, he's a Super Bowl champion and a freelance photographer. Former Penn State wide receiver Jordan Norwood also has a special connection to this week's opponent, UCLA. Our Impact interview is coming up after this.